Hey, welcome everyone. Thanks for joining us for Undocumented Student Week of Action. We're going to get started in just a few minutes as people roll in. I just want to do a quick introduction. My name is Jaime. I'm an advisor with the First Year Experience Program at El Camino. We're so excited to kick things off for Undocumented Student Action Week. We're so glad that you are able to join us. In a moment, I'm going to introduce an amazing student who will introduce our guest speaker. Let's just wait about 2 minutes as more people trickle in, and then we'll go ahead and get started. For those of you that signed in, thanks for joining us for Undocumented Student Action Week. We're going to start in maybe about a minute as more people trickle in. And we're super excited that you're joining us. If you have a minute, we'd love for it if you can share the link for your friends to join, parents, family members. This is our first event for Undocumented Student Action Week this year. It's our first virtual one. So if you can share the link and spread the love, we'd really appreciate it so that more folks can join us. All right, so I'm seeing people trickle in. All right. So to get things started, I want to introduce one of our students. She's been super amazing. Her name is Brenda, and she is the leader of the Undocumented Warriors Club. She's done such an amazing job this year with coordinating events and co-sponsoring and helping us kick off Undocumented Student Week of Action. So I'd like for you guys to meet Brenda now. Hey, Brenda.
Hi everyone. Thank you guys for coming. There's still some people coming in, but I think we can go ahead and get started. So I am the current president for the Undocumented Warriors Club here on campus, El Camino College, and we are always looking for members. So if anyone is new and hasn't had a chance to come to one of our meetings, I definitely recommend it. So this is our first event, as Jaime mentioned, for the Undocumented Student Week of Action, and we have a really awesome presenter with us known as Undocumented online, and his real name is Ernesto Rocha, he is an organizer, a storyteller, a transformational coach. He's a TEDx speaker and an advocate for social, racial, and economic justice. He's also the co-creator of Cocoon Storytelling, which is a monthly storytelling platform designed for people of color to share their lived experiences with their communities. So I'm thankful that you guys could all join us today to hear him share his story and his wise words of knowledge. So welcome, Undocumented.
I wanted to do a little bit of ooh, there's a behind the scenes and the curtain opens and then here we are, we start the show. Hello, everybody. Buenas tardes, good afternoon. So welcome to, I guess, my stage. It's always really interesting and weird to have these kinds of presentations while we are still at home. Some of us are in our office, some of us are in our kitchen. Some of us are in the front stoop of the house telling the cat and the dog and all the kids to be quiet. So I totally understand. So before we get started, I want to do a couple of things because we are not in an auditorium or a kind of conference hall. I want to get to see you. I want to get to know a little bit about you and where you're at. So if you can, listen, I would love to see your faces. Because it feels weird otherwise doing a presentation because it looks like I'm just looking at myself in the mirror. And that can kind of make me go a little more berserk than I already am. So we're gonna do this. On the count of three, I'm gonna ask every single one of you, if you can, to show your beautiful faces. Give me a smile, give me a high five, give me a wave, something. Give me something. Okay, ready? 1, 2, 3. Oh, okay. There we go. Hi, there we go. Oh my goodness. Okay, see, don't be shy. Do not be shy. If you can stay on camera as much as you can, it helps me a little bit with my energy. And also, if there's any like distractions in the background, I may ask you questions about it. Yeah, like, who's that? Is that your cat? Is that your partner? What are we eating? So again, feel free to eat. This is, this is during a lunchtime situation. So please munch away, eat away. If you have nachos, if you're eating tostadas, whatever you have. The only thing is that I know your name and I may be able to know where you are. So hit me up with some lunch too after this, okay? Listen, I am extremely, extremely excited to be here with you all today. Thank you so much to El Camino Community College for allowing me to come and share on your first day of Undocumented Student Week of Action. On the count of 3, can I get a ooh, ooh? 1, 2, 3, hit it. Ooh, this is bad, y'all. It sounds like y'all are crickets. No one wants to say something. Listen, we're going to work with technology, okay? If we're going to work with technology, we're going to do it right. On the count of 3, unmute yourself if you can. And if you can't, just give me some noise, okay? Ready? 1, 2, 3. Right. Yes. Okay, we're good. We are ready to start. We are really, really ready to start. It's such a pleasure for me to be here with you all today because I'm kind of like home, right? The South Bay, the Carson, Long Beach, Compton, Harbor City, that's kind of the area that I grew up. I grew up in Long Beach. And so what I will be able to share with you all today is just a little bit about what my perspective has been as an undocumented queer person of color living in the US. Not that drastic and not that dramatic, but maybe, just maybe, I'll be able to share just a little bit of knowledge, maybe wisdom, or maybe just a couple of travesuras with you all, maybe some chisme too. So I think without further ado, I'm actually going to be sharing a quick presentation with you all because I would not be able to share my story without introducing to you all a couple of characters that have really made my life extremely significant. So let me do a quick little screen share. Okay. Please give me a thumbs up, shake your head, give me a salsa dance or something if you're able to see this. Yeah? Okay. All right. Good. So I'm going to share the story and then I'll probably stop here and there to see how y'all are reacting and see how this is coming across. So I want to first start by saying you got to own your own story. That's definitely not something that my mom taught me from a really, really young age. And so esta foto, what you see here is Ernestito at age 7. Funny picture, during my 7th birthday, my mom wanted to do like a really big celebration for me. I'm a Pisces, so maybe I'll start crying in the middle of this presentation. But I'm a Pisces, and my mom wanted to do something really special for me and my sister, who we share about 15 days. We're 15 days apart from our birthday. So one day she comes home with like a huge cake, right? With like pink and blue and white. And it's like a huge bunny. And I'm like, Mom, how did you know that my favorite color was pink? At age 7, I always knew something was up. Something was up. But what makes this very special is that this is one of the last birthdays that I get to spend in Mexico. So let's start a little bit with, well, if I want to own my story, where does that actually begin? Well, let's start with this. I want to ask you all a question. What were you doing in 1880? Okay, fine. Let me preface this a little bit more. Let me add some context. Can you remember what you were doing in 1880? Okay, good. That's the answer that I wanted to hear. Because if you do remember what you were doing in 1880, I'm concerned. I might be a little concerned. So let's ask another question. Can you recall, do you have information or maybe some knowledge about what your family or your ancestors were doing, where they were from, a bit of information and history about your direct ancestry in 1880? And if you have access to the chat, write it up. Tell me what they were doing. Can you recall? Do you have any clue? Okay, good. So why 1880? Oops, why 1880? Well, 1880 is about 140 years from today. It's roughly 7 generations. A generation is between 20 and 25 years. So I was once told that if you are, as a person, if we want to really center ourselves and find where we currently are in the arc of justice, you want to be able to trace that history and that lineage to about 140 years, which makes it 7 generations. So I had this question. And I remember I went to my mom and I asked her, Mom, ¿qué pasó en el año 1880? And she said, pues yo qué sé? Well, I don't know. What do you mean? We weren't born then. And then I asked a second question. Well, do you have any history about where our peoples are from? She said, well, all I know is that we're from the state of Jalisco and we can trace our lineage as migrant workers that go from place to place to place, putting roots on the ground, doing seasonal work, and then moving around. So I said, okay, that's really interesting. And then it reminded me of my mom's ability to be able to have plantitas all over their house. Maybe this is a little bit of an homage to her. By the way, I didn't grow these. You know, I don't have that talent as my mom. But the point is that we couldn't understand or we couldn't pinpoint what 1880 was for my family. And so that led me down another rabbit hole of asking more questions. If my mom knew that there were migrant workers, then I wonder how she knew that. Well, the answer wasn't too far away. It starts kind of with these people, right? I gotta take it back. Shout outs to my mom and my dad for their amazing, incredible, beautiful, feathery hair. What happened? What happened, Mom and Dad? So these people, Ermelinda and my dad, Juan Francisco, had these beautiful children. Now, let me just say, that's not me. That's 3 kids before us. But however, sometimes I wish I could have that little blue little sailor outfit, like I'm going on a nice little ship. Isn't that cute? I wish I had that little outfit now. But these are my oldest sister, Veronica, Patricia, and Francisco. And the story continues, as does the lineage, with 3 other more babies. Now, no, I'm not the one with the geometric shaped shirt, kind of a little off the shoulder, which I love, right? I'm the one with the big head. Of course, the one que está cabezón. So these are my brothers, Javier and my sister Selena, and then me. So it was really important for me to think about, okay, let's start following our history because I want to know about my family. So I take you back to 1996. I started out the presentation by saying that my 7th birthday was the last birthday I spent in Mexico. 2 years after that, in 1996, I, along with my brothers, became immigrants. And it's important for me to contextualize that and say that I became, right? I wasn't born an immigrant. I wasn't born undocumented. I was born a beautiful, hairless, cabezón little Mexican baby. Cute as a button, right? But in 1996, I became an immigrant. And I put this picture of this scooter because that was the last gift I ever received as a child in Mexico. In 1998, our last Christmas, my mom got all the money that she could gather, and she bought a blue scooter, which is what I always wanted. This picture actually was sent from my tias, who still to this day have saved that scooter for me. We're talking about 27 years later or something like that. And this scooter represents so much because it meant that my mom knew we were going to the US. So she wanted to do the last couple of months in Mexico as joyful as could be. So she bought me this scooter. And on our journey to the US, I remember thinking so fondly about the scooter. I remember as I was walking through the wilderness and seeing rivers and all the rest, I was thinking, man, if only I'd had that blue scooter, I could just ride it and just ride along and we'd just get to the US so much quicker. But that wasn't the case. My mom told me that we were going to the US to go see Goofy. You see, Goofy was my favorite character growing up. My sisters, who already lived in the US, would send stickers and little posters and pencils of Goofy and other Disney characters. But my favorite was Goofy. Oh, yeah. So as a child, the only thing I wanted to come see was Goofy and, of course, my sisters. So what happens after that? Well, of course, I go and enroll in school. I'm this little immigrant boy that wants to just be part of the US system. And, you know, I make my way to Disneyland. And as I'm waiting to get on the Mark Twain, that really long boat that takes forever to go around the lagoon, you can see my face. I wasn't thrilled. I wasn't happy. You know, to think that I was coming to the most happiest place on earth really meant kind of boredom. I met Goofy. I did, but he smelled. He didn't talk, and he wasn't funny. He was just kind of walking around. So all the illusions that I had as an 8-year-old little boy kind of started crumbling away. And this idea of, oh my God, the US is this marvelous place began to shatter just a bit. And of course, I joined Folklorico. Who doesn't? Moving on, I always knew that I was a little different. In middle school, they called me Chunti Bunti. You know, for those of you who know what a chunti is, right? It's like people just kind of seem to gravitate towards that. So they called me Chunti Bunti. But I wasn't really interested in any like boy things or playing sports. I remember, for example, my cousins, they were super into watching the Power Rangers. And so they would show me the Power Rangers and say, you know, Ernesto, why don't you watch this? Maybe you'd like this. And so here we were in the living room watching the Power Rangers. And they were right. I really did love the Power Rangers. But something was off. See, they showed me the Power Rangers because they thought that I needed to be a little bit more masculine, that I needed to like see a little violence here and there. What they didn't know was that the reason why I love the Power Rangers was because of Kimberly. Now, if you don't know the original Power Rangers, Google it, find out. But Kimberly, the Pink Ranger, oh, she was my homegirl. Like, who doesn't like to wear a nice little tight little pink outfit, little booty just perked up, you know, cute little shoulders, and then bam, pterodactyl. You jump on top of pterodactyl that flies? Get out of here. Oh, and the best part was that she loved Jason. Oh, I still get goosebumps thinking about Jason. You all know Jason, that ethnically ambiguous man with black hair, and he was buff and everybody liked him, the Red Ranger. Remember him? I had the biggest crush on Jason. So I knew that something was off. So instead of playing basketball, like with these little hands, oh no. Football? You mean there is a probability that you can hit my face? No. I did the most manly thing I could, which was to play the cello. I mean, listen, you sit like this, you put it in between your legs, and then you start. La, da, 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 Ernesto, ya salte del baño. Queremos usar el baño. Every time I would go and practice the cello, the only place I got to practice was in the restroom. Remember, we had 6 kids. So here I was on the toilet trying to play the cello, and they would kick me out every single time. I tell you this story because it was very monumental in my development as a queer person. Now at the age, I don't want to tell you my age, but back then, now I can think about how important it was for me to go into the arts. Look at this little boy. I mean, who doesn't love a little boy with that mustache? Why didn't anybody tell me to get rid of that mustache, bro? Like, what is that? ¿Qué es eso? Cositas, I know. So this was my graduation picture. Funny thing about this is that my mom, of course, made me wear every single chain that I had gotten. If it was perfect attendance, póntela. If it was a pin, póntela. She made me wear I think it was 25 different chains. So here I was walking down the stage, clunk, clunk, clunk. It was a little bit embarrassing, but also kind of proud. I was happy. I earned all of those. But it was interesting is that my mom told me one story. She said, mijo, when you're going to go on stage, I want you to take this folder. And I said, Mom, este folder? You know that folder. The one that you have under your bed or that your mom kept for you when you were little with your first communion and your baptismal and the perfect attendance and you enrolling into school, all of those certificates that you've ever received growing up. She was like, here, take this to your graduation. I'm like, Mom, no, they don't require that. That's not my ticket in. I'm good. I'm done. She was like, llévatelo. Llévatelo. So of course, here I go with my big binder. And right before I left the car, I left it there. Can you imagine? With that little mustache and 50 chains? No, por favor, no. Mom, they already know I'm undocumented. Let's stop it. Let's stop it there. So this is my graduation picture in 2005. And then here goes Ernesto triumphantly to UCLA. Well, this is where the story takes a different turn. Remember, we're still following the thread of our ancestors in 1880. And for me, it was really important to understand what were all the fundamental pieces that really made me who I am. And of course, we can't talk about that without talking about being undocumented. So in 2005, I was on my way to UCLA. Here's this little queer little boy getting on a train and 3 buses and 2 other trains to get to UCLA every day and every day back. So from 2005 to 2008, I did that every single day. You would constantly find me with my backpack, a duffel bag, and sometimes a sleeping bag because I didn't know where I would end up. It was like I was going camping every single day just because I was going to school. So 2005, I call that my undergrad years. Of course, as you could imagine, after spending 3 years of getting on the trains and the buses and then going to school, not understand where you were going to end up, being the first one in your family to attend college, coming home at 11:30, 12 o'clock, and having your mom wait for you as you came in the door and asked you if you were hungry. Mijo, aquí te traigo frijoles. Here's some beans. Mijo, te estás poniendo muy pelón. Estás muy calvo. Take this tea for your stress. So I understood that my first 3 years of college were so much about me, but also about how my family dealt with me being undocumented. Remember, at that time, there was no DREAM Act. There was no California DREAM Act. There was no DACA. The only thing we had was AB 540, which allowed students to enroll in school with regular tuition. An undocumented little boy, and I say boy on purpose because I was still a young boy, going to college, having to traverse so many different cities just to get to school with no money, and deep inside still questioning himself about his sexuality. With all of those burdens and all of that responsibility seemingly just on my shoulders, of course I dropped out. What were you expecting? That this undocumented superhero was gonna just come out and say, pterodactyl, like Kimberly? The Power Rangers are fake. They were made up. My life isn't. I don't have superpowers or super strength or super mental health abilities. Depression hit hard, and so did alcoholism. So after 3 years of trying to make my way through UCLA, I just couldn't. In 2008, I received an email from administration saying that I needed to pay the rest of my tuition and that I only had until that Friday because the scholarship that was paying for my tuition at that time was revoked. They said that they didn't know that I was undocumented and that I had to pay back that scholarship fund, the money that they had given me, and I had to pay the university for that quarter, and that I had until that Friday. So, like any person would do that believes in church or has, a higher being, I called on to Jesus. And I said, Jesus, brother, sister up there, I need some help. And I remember something really interesting. Every Sunday when we would go to church, here goes a little basket. Pásenle la propina, pásenle la donación, la donación. And I said, Jesus, that is perfect. I can do that too. So I went into my fridge. I got out a big mayo jar. You know the ones, the Costco ones, the big old bulky ones. So I cleaned out what was rest, cleaned it all out, and I made a sign that said, help Ernesto stay in college fund. Bright lime green. And I sent Facebook messages to the 770 friends that I had at that time. And I told them, I have until Friday to come up with $1,000 to pay for my tuition. This was the message that I sent them. Every single person that I had as a friend at that time. Now, this probably was like a Monday or Tuesday. So I had a few days, remember, until Friday. And then I started getting text messages and Facebook messages from friends who said, hey, meet me at the fountain. I got $50 for you. Yo, I'll see you at class. I'll give you 25. And then I took my jar onto campus with my big old backpack and my jar. And here I go. And I go to every single lecture hall that I have, ask the professors if I can make an announcement. And I stand up. Gente, hey, my name is Ernesto. I've been in this class with you all for maybe 2 months. I have a little question. You see, if you have any money available from your financial aid, from pay, Or, hey, I know you all got money because you just got paid. That financial check just hit. Can you please donate anything to my college tuition fund? I'm going to pass my bucket around and I'm going to sit in the back. And Desiree, I'm watching you. Diana, I got you. At CD, don't play me. I see you. I'm going to watch you from the back. Whatever money you can donate, please do so. By the end of that week, you all, I had collected $3,000 and I was able to pay for my tuition. And the rest of the money I gave to my mom so that she can pay for my brother's deportation case, because he was under proceedings during this time. Well, I made it past that quarter, not with good grades, certainly not in good mental health capacities, and certainly not wanting to stay. I left school in 2009. 2009 was the year that I should have graduated with the rest of my colleagues. And I went to the graduation ceremony and I sat in the back with a nice little bow tie because I didn't want anybody to see me differently. And I sat in the audience as I saw my best friend Carla and my really good friend Ruby, my friend Sal, my friend Juana, as all of them walked the stage. With sunglasses, dark as can be, I sat down with a deep sense of shame. But thinking back, why? Shame about what? About being here? About making my way to UCLA? About not being able to finish? About being gay? I don't know. But I remember sitting there with shame, but also so overjoyed that those friends that I made in my college years early on were making their dream come true. And I applauded and I yelled and I screamed and we went to go dinner. And then I went home. From 2009 to 2012, it's kind of a blur. I went deep into drinking. I really didn't even know what I wanted to do. But what I did know I was good at was using this mouth to speak and to tell stories and to hear other people about their stories. And I knew that something needed to change, and not just for me, but for the entire system of undocumented students. You know, by this point, things had moved so way ahead. We already had a president that was saying that undocumented students were going to get a path to citizenship. The California Dream Act was actually possibly going to happen. And so in the back of my mind, I would always watch people, I always watch other undocumented students, and they would come so forth and to say they were undocumented, they were unafraid, and they would go out and protest. And I would watch them from afar, urging them on. But I was weak. I was tired. So I dedicated myself to organizing. And I organized with other workers. I organized with students. I became a union organizer, and I worked in Bakersfield to get workers to demand the rights that they need in their own respective workplaces. And I learned so much about the meaning of community through the work of community organizing. But in 2012, I just had a breakdown. And like the breakdown, like, you know, when you break up with your partner or like your ex, or like when that hunger just doesn't like you, and then it breaks your heart, and then you want to just eat that ice cream every single day, like that kind of a breakdown. Like when you look at yourself in the mirror and you're like, ¿por qué estás tan feo? Or like that breakdown where like you just cry and it comes from the inner part of your gut, and you're clenched yourself in a fetal position on the ground because you've been crying so hard because you have no money and you want to finish school and your family doesn't know that you're gay and you're just sick. That kind of a breakdown. But of course, life moves on. This is my mother's 60th birthday. You know, the woman with the purple shirt with the curls. This is my family. But someone's missing. My oldest brother was eventually deported. And we celebrated my mother's birthday as a family because we wanted to keep the joy that we had. We called our brother on FaceTime and we said, "You're here too. We love you. We wish that you could be here." And this is joy. And underneath that, I was still hurting so much. I couldn't do anything to save him. And the alcohol ran rampant. So I devoted myself to the things that I knew I could do, which was to organize. I'm not a perfect organizer. I certainly wasn't then, but I did my best. And I found other young people from multiple countries, from different ways of life, and I called on to them. How did you do it? How did your family do it? And began my direct activism to make sure that we passed some kind of policy, something, a lifeline for undocumented students, and not just for those that are seeking education, but for our families as well. Remember, my brother was deported. I don't just operate in a vacuum. I belong to a family. This was the group. The undocumented students at my university, these were the students that I learned so much from. To this day, I can point to these people and know what they're doing. I can point to Will, who is a filmmaker. I can point to and I think I may even have some of my colleagues here. I think Erika is on the line, who also went to school with me. I can point to Fabiola, who is an urban planner now in the city of Los Angeles. They were the people that helped me to become a better organizer. And because of them, I devoted my life to fighting for other workers' rights, fighting for the rights of undocumented workers who, like my mother, could not get the full benefits of being and working in this country. The hundreds of thousands of port truck drivers that work in the Port of Long Beach, or nursing care workers, or folks that work in the hospitality industry that get their wages taken away because they're afraid to say that they are undocumented. So I devoted my entire life from 2009 all the way to the present to preserving and advancing the rights of other people of workers, of families, of undocumented people. Still getting on microphones and still getting on those bullhorns. But what about me? The alcoholism wasn't getting any easier. That wasn't bringing my brother back. That didn't stop my family from having to move really far away to find cheaper housing. But I can still say that one of the most proudest moments in my life was being able to assemble a citywide coalition of workers, of students, of college students, of parents, moms, dads, people that paved the way to advance for worker justice and ensuring that workers had a path to getting a higher minimum wage. It's important to know and to note that not everything is good or bad. I can still be a complex individual with my own mental concerns, my own depression, and still do really good work. But that still doesn't mean that I am healed or healthy. But just like when somebody breaks your heart or you have a breakdown, we hope that you can always take a big, deep breath of fresh air and exhale. And see how many people in your life love you. That the plantitas still keep growing. That your cat and your dog still love you unconditionally. That your mom still offers frijoles or whatever food she has to you because that's her gift. She is honoring you. Or your teachers or your counselors that see you every single day and you say, "Usted puede." No, you're not going to get an extension on that paper. It's due when it's due. Because all of these are lessons about how community can uphold you. But it's important that in all of that, you are able to understand, well, what about this? You. How is your mind and your heart and your spirit connecting? Are you just working every single day like I was from 2009 to 2012 and like, God who? Spirit who? Who's that? Who is she? I don't know her. Are you still digging into your family's history to find out like, what were they doing in 1880? Or are you identifying that, the system is built on the labor and the hands of undocumented folks, built on slavery, built on the hard-earned work of people of color. And so you are part of that too. And so I began to identify, okay, Ernesto, you're getting bald. Your hair's not getting any better. You're not getting any younger, brother. So let's identify some things that you can change. Okay, I hear you, Jesus. I hear you. And then 2016 happened. Pero no se me entristezan. It's not all that bad. Well, I'm joking, sort of, right? But 2016 was a formidable year for me because it meant this. Whatever safety I thought I had, sas, pa fuera. Whatever sense of connectedness that I felt to my family, pa fuera. Oh, you want to be queer? Hit it. Let's see what happens to the trans community. Oh, you identify as a person of color? Oh, we'll see about that. Muslim ban. Boom, let's go. You thought you were going to get your brother to come back into this country? No, brother. If anything, we might actually revoke some of your family's residency to maybe join your brother over there. So in 2016, it was like a complete shift, because I understood that all of the work in the campaigning that undocumented students in their communities and immigrant communities were doing, advocates to find dignity and justice for undocumented people, for queer folks, for Black people, for people of color in general, like we needed to just get bolder. And that's where Undocumented comes from. Undocumented means undocumented before and after the election. And this is the election that I'm talking about, 2016. I was undocumented before. I navigated my way through that way, through that system. And here was another one. 2016 is going to mean even more work to be done, more hardships to deal with, and a blatant racist administration that said that my dignity and my humanity was not to be respected. So hit it. 2016, I see you. Let's go. Because this is not just we're playing, like we are now working in an administration, in a socio-political system that we just have to get organized. We got to get ready. So 2016 meant, Ernesto, you need to get ready, brother. But before you want to go out there in the streets, check in. Who are you? Are you just undocumented? So I decided that 2016 was the last year I would take a swig of alcohol. Because in my digging to identify what was going on with my family, I found a strand of history that connected all of the patriarchs in my family to alcoholism, to alcohol abuse. And it was taking them down one by one, one by one. My grandfather died underneath some stairs across the street from the house because nobody could save him. My mom tells me a story that the only reason why she married my father was because he was handsome and he didn't drink. And I said, that's it? Like, oh no, your dad, he sweeps me, for my feet. He's so loving. Oh, he's so tender. Oh, he has a great person. Nothing? Not even the personality, lady? You just like him because he doesn't drink? Okay. That's a great lesson, Mom. I wonder what'll happen if I stop drinking. And I did. And to this day, I can say that I'm a little over 4 years sober because it was something that I needed to do for me. Another thing that happened, I decided to go back to school, y'all. Hit it. Look, I said this, the California Dream Act passed. We got this administration who was saying, y'all, listen, we're not gonna, not here with y'all. And they said, okay, hit it. California Dream Act just passed. Undocumented students are still organizing. Ernesto's gonna take a break from his community organizing, from his union organizing, and he is going to demand to himself that he was going to go back to school. Oh, and by the way, that he was not going to pay a single cent, no dime, no ma'am, not here, for his tuition at UCLA. That's the least that we deserve. That's the least that I deserve. So I said, let me apply to all these baby scholarships. Let me get all these private funders, no Mayo this time. No Mayo can this time, but I did do one of those cute little online campaigns that all the millennials do, I was like, oh, that's it. I just got to tell people, hit it. Send me that money. California Dream Act, where you at? Where's this funding? Because it wasn't about entitlement. It was about what we worked so hard to get. See, in 2015, when I went back to school, I came back with a different kind of attitude saying, yes, I appreciate everything that this institution has done for me, but y'all got work still to do. And I'm gonna demand a little bit more from you all. There's systems and ways and people that are connected to the systems in every educational infrastructure. So let's figure it out. You don't think that I can work? Let's figure that out too. But what I won't do is go back to 2005 Ernesto, because it took me 11 years to return back to UCLA and finish, but I did. This picture makes me really emotional. One, because we took it in front of my elementary school. I asked my sister to get her camera and to go in front of the steps of the auditorium to my elementary school, because that's really where my dreams of being a student really started. Like, that's where I wanted to play music. That's where I started liking Kimberly. And that's where I was connecting to the US culture as it was. So this was my homage to myself. This was to honor young little Ernestito, who had so many curiosities and so many questions about what he was going to be like. So this was for him. Why I'm also really emotional about this picture is because I look good, y'all. I look good. You know what I'm saying? Look at that suit. You can't tell me that suit ain't fly. Those shoes, come on. Come on, David Rodriguez. You know those shoes are fly, bro. I don't care. I see you, bruh. And also, ooh, I was sucking in that panza so much. I was like, take this picture, sister. Come on, let's do it. Oh, and also look at that hair. Oof. You see that coif? Do you see that coif? Oh, man. And I still have this picture. And I made a copy of it and I gave it to my mom, because my mom had 3 gifts for me. 1, she brought me to this country. 2, she raised me proudly. And 3, she gave me the gift of wanting something in education. And the year after, I did my TED Talk. And the TED Talk was, in a way, sharing what I've learned as an undocumented person. But this time, it wasn't all about pain and suffering. And although all of that stuff is there, it's still there. It still makes me weep. But this time, I identified that if I can live through resistance and through my joy and my unapologetically sense of being queer and being undocumented and being who I am and connecting that to joy, hey, I wonder what else is possible. The year after is the first time that I lost all of my hair, but it's also the year that I wrote Plantitas. And I wrote Plantitas to honor my mom. Because, you know, Esa señora que tiene all her seeds and all her little weeds and all the little plants and all the little things stuffed in the cabinets of the kitchen. Oh, you got a headache? I got you, mijo. Come here. Ta-ta-ra, tu-tu-ru, tómate esto. Drink this. Mom, my shoulder hurts. Oh, my elbow. I got you. Come over here to the kitchen. I'm like, why? Is this the medical room? What's up? So I wrote plantitas to honor my mom's connection to her lineage of being a migrant worker. Remember the question I asked you at first? 1880? I don't really know, but what is clear is that my mom is a migrant worker, that she has so much wisdom and magic in her hands that she keeps it all over the place. I wrote that story for her. At the end of the story, she was sitting in the audience and she comes up to me and she says, ay, no puedo. Ernesto, la gente va a pensar que soy bruja. Ernesto. And I just looked at her and I said, well, aren't you? I mean, you kind of are, you know, and like bring back. Yes, bring it back. This isn't like for the malice of other people. You are healing your community. You have healed all of us through the use of your plants. Mom, own it. It's yours. Your grandmother taught you this. Feel it. Yeah, call yourself a bruja if you want. But whatever you do, don't lose it. Because guess what, señora? I'm horrible with plants. I try to. I give you the illusion. You see me? I give you the illusion. But that's not my strength. My strength is in the telling of the stories. My strength is in telling and in connecting all of those pieces of how my mom learned that knowledge through her grandmother, and identifying and telling her not to lose that craft, because if she does, the connection to our ancestors will be lost. And I decided to, go on a kind of national platform and debate some Trump supporters. Why not? Let's go. What's up? Let's go. Because Undocumented was not going to be afraid anymore. Like, what's the point? What am I going to do hiding in the shadows? First of all, it's dark in the shadows, it's cold, and you can't see my fly outfits in the shadow. No, not here. I got cute shoes, cute shirts. Yes, I'm going a little bald, but I got style, baby. I'll show you. I got things to share. Going back in the shadows for who? Because you are not willing to see. You are blinded by the light that is in front of you. That's your problem. So I did this video, and I think it has like a couple of million views. And of course, in a couple of those million views, you get people that say, here, I found another one. He lives in Long Beach. People were going hot on my Twitter. They were like, I found another undocumented person, get him. People would take screenshots of them supposedly filling out an application form and sending it to ICE to say, Ernesto is here, come get him. What am I gonna do? Stop eating? Stop talking? No. Okay, like, thank you, but I will report you as a bully and as, you know, why you follow me online? Hit it, do something else. All this trolling, we ain't got time for that. I got to plan my next little cute little outfit. No. Because if I'm going to be undocumented, well, I'm going to be undocumented. Let's just go. Like, what else? But there's so much more, you know, there's just so much more to me. That's just one little piece. There's so many other cool, amazing things about it. If you haven't got a chance to do it, go watch it. It's kind of an interesting conversation about, you know, erecting the border wall and what that meant. But this was a really important moment for me because this is when I identified myself really more as a storyteller, that I'm not here to be like a politician and debate people about what is right and what is wrong. What I am going to do is uphold my family's traditions, our lineage, our history of who we are, because that is just as important. So I took it a step further and I said, listen, okay, y'all want to have some conversations? Well, let's go. So last year, along with one of my really good friends, D'Angeli, we opened our own podcast, and it's called Loose Accents. And it's called Loose Accents because we wanted to pay tribute to all of the things that people told us we needed to lose growing up. Our accents, the way that we had our hair, our little cute little limp wrists, right? Being gay, being too black, being too white, you don't belong. Like all of those things that really didn't make for anything important in our life, like we're gonna talk about it. Slut shame, girl, please, let's go. So we created this podcast because we wanted to regain authority over our story. And so we celebrated, I told you I got stuff. I got you. You want pictures? I got you. I got you. So now we're on our second season. You can, go online and find it. We're taking a little bit of a hiatus because COVID, y'all. Oof. Don't get me started. COVID has been, incredibly difficult to maintain. We would have been doing this in person, but we're taking a little bit of a hiatus. And what was really important for us to do this podcast was to be able to connect this generation, right, of young people to those who have sort of led the way to get them to where they're at. And so I think this quote, I put this in here because it sort of spoke a little bit about, what it meant for some of our viewers, some of our listeners to really hear our conversations. But really, the reason why I continue to speak unapologetically about our story is because I've understood that I have that responsibility to tell those stories. Because if my mom and my grandma and my great-grandmother, if they don't understand and they don't have any documents, no written stories about what their ancestors were like or what they did or how they spoke or how they dressed and how they enjoyed their life in this earth, then these, my nephew, my niece, and all of my baby nieces and nephews that are here in the US, they deserve to know. Panchito in the middle, he is my nephew that still lives in Mexico. My brother has not been able to return, but he has a family. He has a partner. And Panchito has grown up not to have the direct connection to us, but he knows our stories. He knows that he has family on the other side. And he knows that one day, su tío Ernesto will come see him. At least, I hope he knows that. And this work I do for them. And I just put this up here because she's so cute. Like, you see those cupcakes? This is my baby niece celebrating her first birthday. She lives here. And I also do it because I hope it is my biggest wish that 140 years from today, in 2160 into the future, there is a little boy or a little girl with curly hair or no hair at all. And that when someone asks them, hey, do you know what your ancestors were doing in 2160? Or rather, do you know what your ancestors were doing in 2020? Them shooting back, casting a net back to our current years. That little boy or that little girl or that person that identifies themselves however it is that they identify themselves. And then they say, yeah, I think actually, I know, let me pull him up. One of my ancestors, his name was Ernesto, and he went by Undocumented. And he told stories of my great grandmother who was a migrant worker and how they made themselves come here to Long Beach. And that tradition and those stories are not lost. And my biggest wish for you is that is also possible. Because really, it starts now. You are going to be ancestors one day. And Diana and Desiree and Atsidi and Maria and Amy and Erika and Jennifer and Kimberly and Jessica and Paola and Mirka and Rosie and Lauren and Greg and Victoria and Carlos and Lisette and Deborah. You will be ancestors. And let's just hope that you make a big enough mark in this world that your lineage does not get lost. So write your stories, tell your stories, do your art, be as queer and as undocumented as you need to be as smart as you need to be, write that book that you wanted to write, dance that you wanted to do, raise those children that you've always wanted, get that pet, go out and vote. Because you are practicing currently the practice of what's going to be you being an ancestor. Because they are waiting for you. Thank you all so much for the time. I really honor the space that you all created here. And let's celebrate this undocumented week of action with joy, with a little bit more resistance. And if you're able to vote, go. Y'all got like 2 weeks left. Come on, let's hit it, y'all. Like 2016, ooh, it was rough. But we are in 2020 and we are behind, in our homes, but we got power. So let's go. I won't take no for an answer. And if you can't vote, get all your families, the people that, I'm not gonna vote because like, para qué? You better go. Next time you go to that carne asada, you better be like, Sandra, what's up, girl? But I really appreciate your time. I appreciate the camaraderie and the space to be able to join in solidarity with you all. El Camino College, thank you so much for inviting me to speak. And I hope that this is not the last time that we meet. We got a long ways to go. So hopefully we'll be able to see each other way into the future. If y'all are interested in still connecting with me or want to send me an email, invite me to come and speak at your quinceañera, si quieren. If you need me to come and speak at that baby shower, although it has to be, safe distance, I'll put my mask on, I got you. Or if you just want to tell me your stories, please follow me at Undocumented at Gmail. You can send them there or on my Instagram with the same name at Undocumented. So I appreciate your time, and I think I'll pass it over to the organizers if they have any announcements that they may want to have for the rest of the time.
Wow, that was amazing. I'm so speechless. Ernesto, thank you so much for sharing such a personal part of your life with us. Your story is so amazing, and it really highlights the reality of our undocumented community. I just want to say thank you for taking us on this emotional journey and for helping our allies who are joining us today understand a piece of what our students are going through. I'm really highlighting also the power of our students. We couldn't have asked for a better way to kick off this week. And I'm hoping that all of the students that are joining us will see today as just the beginning, and that they will join us for the rest of the week for our upcoming events. We want you all to know that we're here for you, and that we want you to reach out to our Undocu Warriors Club. If you need someone to be there with you, someone to vent to, someone to talk to, the Undocu Warriors Club is there for you. And I just really wanted to thank you, Ernesto, for such an amazing experience. I want to say thank you to our Undocu Warriors Club, the president, Brenda Fernandez, for co-sponsoring our week of action. Thank you to our Undocumented Student Task Force, Carla, Lizette, thank you all. Thank you to our Dean of Counseling, Dr. Patel. And then finally, thank you to our students who are joining us today, who you really are the most important part of this work. And we hope that you'll join us this whole week and reach out to us. And then before I close out, I just wanted to introduce Dr. Lozano, the Transfer Center coordinator, who wanted to give a final word.
Thank you, Jaime. Ernesto, I have to echo what Jaime said. I mean, you had me in tears because your story, I mean, I was a UCLA undocu queer person as well. And so believe you me, you really touched me on so many levels. But I think that what you left us with is, number one, that you're teaching us that our personal narratives and our lived experiences is knowledge. And sometimes our students are led to believe that it's not knowledge, and it's absolute knowledge. And I think that you made that crystal clear to all of us that sometimes forget that. I think the other thing I heard you say is that intersectionality is important, and that we all have different identities and different, where they come together, where as complex as it is, it's also beautiful. And we have to honor those intersectional identities in ways that honor all of our stories and how they intersect with each other. And then I love how you said that nobody's giving us anything. We deserve it, we earned it, we work for it, our families, it's on our families' backs, it's on our families' struggle that we have what we have. So we are owed that and much more. And I think that that's absolutely important for all of us to remember, students, right? Because sometimes we're given a narrative that somehow we're being given something, but we're not. We're just taking it because our parents worked for it and we worked for it. And I think that the thing that most impressed me about Ernesto's speech today is how emotionally connected he was to his story. I think that sometimes in order to survive, we suppress those feelings and those emotions because we got to keep going, or else we're not going to go, right? But reconnecting to those emotions is the real way to heal. And as a counselor, I truly believe that. And I think that Ernesto absolutely modeled that for us, that it's okay to be in pain. It's okay to cry about it. It's okay to be connected to that story and who we are, because that is how we're going to move forward. And that is how we're going to find that solace that I think he described to us really well today. And how we can turn it into all that energy into a positive way of doing what's right for us and for our communities and for yourselves. And so I could not be more proud right now of being part of this El Camino community. And his words, I think, have really set the tone for the rest of us for the rest of the week in terms of how we're going to move forward with our work. So thank you so much, Ernesto. I hope to one day meet you very soon. I know some of my friends know you, but Jaime, I cannot thank you enough for being such an amazing organizer of everything that we're doing. You deserve so much of the credit, and just I know that the students know that. So thank you all so much for joining us. So we'll see you later this week.
Professor, if I can, if it's okay, I missed one thing. If I can, I want to also extend our gratitude to our translator who's doing sign language interpretation. Can we please give her a big round of applause, because she deserves it. She did such an excellent job. And I was watching her and I was like, did I say that? Woo! Because I do also have folks in my family who are hearing impaired as well. So thank you so much for your help. And then also last thing, listen, look, y'all know Instagram and you know all of this stuff. So I would love it if it's okay with you. I would love it for my personal heart. If we could take a group picture, if it's possible. And for that, we need to see your beautiful faces. And maybe if anybody can help us to do like some screenshots or something, if we can, give your best face, y'all. Get that baby up, get your cat, get your dog, do what you need to do, right? Fluff that hair. I got you, right? Desiree, baby, I saw you crying through those glasses, baby, but yes, right? So, okay, let's see. So I don't know how to do this. I hope somebody can. Maybe we can just do on the count of three. We can do a couple of
screenshot everything.
Screenshots. Yeah. A couple of screenshots. And I think there's a couple of pages here. So maybe we can do a little bit of that. All right, ready? 1, 2, 3. Okay, let's do another one. Así sin lentes, así porque van a decir que estuvo en el trabajo. 1, 2, 3. All right. Thank you all so much for your time and your energy. Muchísimas gracias, and I will see you next time.
Thank you.
Thank you.